Welcome to the Work, Wealth, and Travel podcast. I'm your host, Nicole, and this podcast is your guide to start creating a lifestyle by design. From entrepreneurship, money and finance, tax optimization and residencies, and everything in between, this show highlights the nuances of a true global citizen lifestyle. Let's dive in. Misty, welcome to the Work, Wealth, and Travel podcast. I am very much so looking forward to our discussion today. This is going to be somewhat of a different discussion than a lot of the guests that we have on the show, which I love, but also very relatable to entrepreneurship. And then, of course, hearing about your journey and what the day to day looks like as an entrepreneur for you, because it looks a lot different, I think, than what it would look like for me or a lot of the listeners. So, please start by sharing a little bit more about yourself, your background, your story, where you started, and then kind of how you got into this industry today.
My journey started, I probably was around, I don't know, like 6 or 7, and I noticed that, I could see things that wasn't there or hear things that wasn't there, and, maybe, having thoughts that this would happen, something would happen, and it would. So, anytime I this happened, and at night, I would be extremely scared because that's when, like, I would things would co approach me in my room, and so I would try to tell my parents about what was going on. And of course, we were a very religious, very deep religious family. And it was like it was considered like satanic or, something from the devil that was making me see these things. Um, so I learned at an early age, I always say I learned to shut up so I wouldn't get in trouble, so I wouldn't get, disciplined or anything. And so I kind of held everything, close to the vest and learned how to just push it all away. And then actually, it was about 5 years ago, I went and had a psychic medium reading by Carrie Roy. She is the New Orleans psychic medium. She's on a lot of TV shows and different things, and she's been doing this for like 40 years. Anyway, I had never seen her before. I barely had heard of her for some reason. I don't know why. Anyway, I had got a reading from her from my wife uh, for my birthday, and so we went up to her office. And the minute I saw her, it was she looked at me and she goes, "This is where you're supposed to be. Don't you know that?" And I'm like, "Okay," because I wasn't ready to just, to envelop everything. And she started talking about, my gifts, and she even knew about how that I was suppressed being younger. My gifts were suppressed. And so she just kind of just opened the world up to me and gave me the confidence, and like became a mentor to me to help me develop my gifts. And so now what I do is I do my own, I do readings, psychic medium readings for different people, professionally. I go to homes and, you know, someone thinks there's a bad spirit there, and everything's not evil or satanic. Maybe it's just somebody, a spirit that's grumpy or something and kind of needs to go their own way. But anyway, I do house cleanings. And I also, for almost a year now, been the host of my own podcast called Quest, A Journey into True Crime and the Paranormal, which I consider, I don't consider myself an expert on everything. So I am on a journey to learn like everyone else and to not just focus on just one aspect of the paranormal. Like I want to learn everything about it. So that's just what I do. I go around, interviewing people. People come in to talk to me, and I'm just like a sponge right now, trying to find out everything.
So I just have to note, it was so funny there when you said I do house cleanings, because normally that would be like a cleaning of a home, but you mean it in a
Well,
very different sense, a sense that I've never heard before. So I thought that was kind of funny. So, okay, there's a lot we can dive into, and we are going to relate this back to entrepreneurship. But before going there, I want to dive into some of the things that you have experienced in the day to day in this business. And I do also have to say, I was watching your YouTube channel before this and the podcast episodes, and then you had one of going into a woman's home, and it's just, it feels like you're watching Netflix. It's so crazy. So, really great production that you have there, but also really interesting to see what you actually do on a day-to-day basis. So, can you share some experiences, maybe let's say like positive, good and bad experiences of encounters that you have had with spirits? And then this might be like a loaded question, but I think you're probably one of the best people I've had on the show to ask this question to. Like, where do they go? Or like, where do we go? Like, have you figured that out? Is it different for everyone depending on your beliefs? Like, I know this is the big existential question, and I'm just casually asking on a podcast, but I'm curious your take on it.
Sure. Everybody, I think it's however that you believe. Some people believe that when you die, that's it, that you just dust to dust and dust you shall return. And, some people believe that your spirit is energy, that you go and some people believe in past lives that you'll be reincarnated and that you'll get to live again, but as someone else to learn lessons and to become a better person in your next life. And so I don't think anybody is wrong. I just think it is what it is for them. That we're me personally, I believe that we're this energy, that this ball of energy. And so does energy ever die? I mean, not really. It doesn't. I believe that spirits, they want to communicate with us. And what happens is sometimes some people are so scared to communicate because of what you see on TV, or what you've heard maybe from someone else, or you've maybe had a bad experience and you really don't wanna try it again. But, you know, I think having an open mind is such a great gift to have because you miss out on so many things. Maybe you had a great relationship with, like, your grandmother or something, and she has passed, and you're thinking, "Okay, this is it. I'll never get to communicate with my grandmother again. I won't get to see her." That's not necessarily true because your grandmother is more than likely around you and trying to show you signs, but because we get so busy in just everyday life, we don't take time to just kinda go a little bit slower and look for signs or, like a random song on the radio, like my dad, uh, you know, another, example is my dad, he died like 2 years ago. So since that time, I've been getting feathers, random, like, I'll park the car, get out, boom, a feather is right there on the ground where I'm going to step, or a feather here or a feather there. I mean, for a while there, it was just like feather, feather everywhere I went. And I was like, oh my God. But then I realized, that's his way of telling me that he's okay and that he sees me and, that he still wants to have a relationship with me. It's not the same that we had, but it's still there. And so as I was saying about, like your grandmother or whatever, it is signs there. But to me, I think when people automatically close their mind or for whatever reason, like I said, if they're scared or maybe it's the way that they were raised that, you're not supposed to believe in this or it's a taboo or, that you miss out on so many things that could be such a closure for you. Being a psychic medium, I find, is not just for the living, it's also for the dead. They have messages for us. They have things that they would like to say that maybe they couldn't say in life that, and I like to think of myself like a bridge between both worlds because not only to help the living, but to also dead.
When I was younger, I feel like I don't exactly remember. I feel like I probably thought that there was like nothing after this. But now I think it's really interesting and I'm curious your take on this. There's so much evidence of the contrary of there actually being something after this. And I think to me that evidence is very evident in not that I, see spirits or anything like that, but the fact that like I believe that they are around, they are in this realm. I know and I believe that other people can see them and experience them, and I'm sure I could if I wanted to as well. And so I find it so interesting when somebody says that there's nothing after this life. I just feel like there's so much if you open your eyes, like, to what you were saying just a little bit, and instead of like your stories, for example, instead of saying like, "Oh, no, that's just all made up and completely fake," if you open your eyes a little bit to the possibility that what you're saying and what others are saying may have some truth to it or be completely true, and it's not just things that people are making up for money, then it's like, I think, how can you believe that there's nothing after this life when there's so much evidence of so much going on in our world than just like us on this one planet and then that being it?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that because to me, it gives you hope. And what does it hurt for me or someone else to believe that there's more out there? You know, you do it in a respectful manner. You treat the spirits with respect. You treat everyday people with respect. Then there's no reason why you cannot believe that. It doesn't hurt anything. I know on like some I belong to a lot of groups, paranormal groups, ghost hunt, because that's what I do. I belong to a lot of 'em, and it's like there's gotta be one or two in the bunch that's gonna just rain on everybody's parade. "No, that's fake. No, no, that's," had a string behind it, and just some of that happens? Sure, of course it does. I mean, we would all be, in a different reality if we didn't believe that. But to me, you have to believe in something, and then you have the evidence and personal experiences to back it up. Then who cares? Who cares if somebody believes that their mother is there? If that helps them get through every day, then I'm not gonna be the one, to try to hurt someone and rain on their parade. I don't wanna be that person.
So, are you looking to become a diversified global citizen? If this is a lifestyle that you're seeking to create, we can help. Whether it be multiple residencies, citizenships, bank accounts, trusts, or company formations, we operate in 30 plus of the most tax friendly jurisdictions around the globe to get you structured properly. Head to the link in the show notes to learn more and to get your global citizen journey underway today. Let's talk about some of the interesting experiences that you've had throughout the US. You travel all over the country. Tell us about some of the like some of the good experiences that you've had of like a good spirit or soul or I don't know, whatever you call it, if there's a difference between wording that you use, but a positive experience, because I think, of course, in the media, we only see negative experiences and portrayals of what is next or what we maybe cannot see in this world. But also, I'm really curious and a little bit frightened, but very curious of some of the negative experiences that you've had.
Sure. Now, I just did a weekend lockdown at the, uh, haunted hotel, it's called. It's New Orleans, and if you and your, listeners have heard of the Axeman of New Orleans in 1919, he's is still not solved, but, he went on, like, a killing spree and would kill couples, like Italian couple, owners of grocery stores. He would taunt the police, okay? So, allegedly, at this hotel is allegedly where he stayed. Now, whether it is exactly the X-Men or not, I do not know. I don't wanna pretend, but it is a spirit there. It's a anger s you can feel the anger. You can feel the rage, and, I've investigated there several times before, and I always have to be careful because you have to go in knowing what you're doing, but not only that, but you have to protect yourself before and after an investigation so you don't bring stuff home. Have I brought stuff home before? Unfortunately, yes. And it's hell to get out of your home if you don't know what you're doing. Uh, you know, the lights flickering, or even had lights, at night, just all of a sudden just come on in our room that you have to pull a little chain to get it to come on and off. And it's like they're wanting, whether they're good or bad, all they're wanting to do is to communicate. I always say this, I always say that how you were in life is how you are in death. If you were not a good person, I don't really think, this is just my opinion, I really don't think that all of a sudden when you die, you're gonna be like, "You know what? I'm not, hey, I'm a good person now. And no, you're going to be, I don't know if you can curse on here, so I won't. But, if you were bad in life, you're going to be bad in death and you're going to y- you try to make everybody miserable in life. Guess what? You're going to have even more power to do so in death and, you know, just creating havoc. And that's why it's good no matter what that you believe that you have good spiritual hygiene, as it's called, and you make sure that you're prepared mentally and physically and emotionally when having to deal with these spirits. Um, it's just, do I walk in everywhere and automatically sense spirits every time? No, because I had to learn to set boundaries because if not, um, there was a time where I honestly didn't sleep for a very long time because I was being woke up, touched, pushed. I would hear voices. I'd hear my name called, and you set up and there's nothing around, but you could feel the aftermath of what was there. And so I had to have someone at the time come that knew a little bit more than me and like cleanse my home to get this away from me. So I mean, it depends on how you are and where you're at. Uh, you go in disrespectful to spirits, which try my very best not to ever do. But you have people like you see it on TV. They go and they provoke and they talk down and just really rile them up so that they can get more evidence and more of a reaction. And to me, I think that is such a disrespectful thing that you can do to the spirits, and not only the spirits, but to the paranormal, to the profession of, because your reputation's everything. And then you have where you can't get into places to investigate because a team or someone before you has went in and acted totally out the box and has, called up demons or just not respected the history of the place. And to me, I just think that that's really sad because, it shouldn't be that way.
And so what are some examples of positive I mean, I know even in my family, not that I'll share what they are, but there have been examples of someone passing away and then, like, will show up or what are some positive to give the audience some hope? Not everything is negative or bad spirits. There's a lot of the opposite out there. So what are some experiences that you've had with that?
I had an experience with my grandfather, and after he passed, matter of fact, the night he passed, I was at my home, and all of a sudden, I mean, it was just like it was so real. I felt him. I knew it was him. He walked up to me, and and I was actually, having a conversation with him. I'm, sad that you're gone, but I'm glad that you're not hurting. And so I kind of got to make my peace with that, and that was a good experience is when you have family members who come and maybe tell you goodbye, because some of them don't hang around all the time. Some of them, for whatever reason, go on, to the bright light or whatever that you may feel, to call that. Some will go right then. Some have something that they need to say. Some of them have unresolved, business. So to get that final, chance to say goodbye is, I mean, it's beautiful. It's, it's on like a higher level than what that you can ever experience, than just, going up to a casket or whatever, and just, saying goodbye there. But to have the spiritual connection is really a beautiful thing. And that's why I can understand why somebody refuses to believe or don't want to believe is because they miss out on so much.
Is there a reason why somebody will stay in this world longer? Or like I guess the way that I always thought about it, it was like bad spirits stay because of something malicious, and then good spirits, like once they die, then they go somewhere else. But I know that's not always the case. So it's like, what would make somebody a spirit stay here longer or for like a short period of time and then cross over? Is that something they can control or it's out of their control? If you have these answers.
Well, I was gonna say I'm on the journey about that, about, wondering why some stay longer than others. Some, I believe that they go and they'll come back periodically just to check in on their loved ones, or, like maybe there's an unsolved murder or an unsolved death that, or a message that they need to get to someone. And then, they're like, let me try this, see if, because they're not going to come to you and tell you, walk up, hey, Joe killed me at 12:48 2 years ago on March the 20th and blah, blah, blah. It's not going to be like that, because you have to think about it, because they're energy and energy takes energy. And so they give you like little clues or little short words, or way things to do to kind of put the pieces of the puzzle together. Because like I said, they're not going to be able to come in and have a long drawn out conversation, because I think if they could, there would be no unsolved murders. We would all have the answers and know this one killed this one on that date. And so you have to think about that. It's the communication is not going to be exactly what you think or exactly what you see in TV and the movies when they, oh, this happened to me, and just go on for 20 minutes. It's not happening that way. And so I think that whenever that connection is made, like I said, it's beautiful. And to give the message out and to give the message, that's something you can't buy. That's on a
Definitely.
whole plane,
Definitely. Absolutely. Does everybody have these I don't wanna use powers as the right word, but, like, does everybody have these senses within them that you maybe come more easily to you, but everyone can have them if they tap into them? Or is it very much so just based on the individual and some are more in touch than others?
I believe that everyone has some kind of psychic ability, and it's just maybe used different terms have been used all our lives for them. Like you hear about mother's instinct. Okay. You hear about uh, law enforcement having a gut reaction, or, when they meet somebody, they're like, oh, because if you think about it, profilers, okay, we go back even to profilers, and they're like, okay, I believe this gentleman's going to have blonde hair, blue eyes. He's going to work here. He's going to have a sister and a brother. He's also going to go drive a Kia, something. I don't know. And, and it comes true. And then you're thinking, well, how the heck did they learn all, where did that come from? I believe that there is some part of psychic tendencies that have to do with profilers in law enforcement, which 99 probably percent of them would never admit to it being a psychic, some kind of psychic gift. I like to call it, having a gift. And, they never would admit to that. But if you think about it, the definition of like a gut reaction or into mother's intuition, like you hear stories about the mom, is blocks away, miles away, and they're like, "Oh no, my child, something's wrong with my child." What is that? Is that just a fluke, coincidence? No, that is some kind of psychic knowing that you have. And some people, yes, are blessed with it more than others. Some people, they have the lineage in their family where it's passed down from one generation to the other. It just depends, and then you can, um, you know, cultivate your psychicness, I guess is the word, by meditating, by reading, by, being around like-minded individuals to tap into that gift that you may have. And you can use, not just by communicating with spirits. I mean, like your channel's about wealth and being an entrepreneur, and how what decisions you make in business and different things. Like why are some people successful? Why are some people maybe it takes them longer to reach a level of success? Why aren't people successful at all? And it's, I think, the willingness to listen to that inner voice. What is that inner voice? It is no different than me getting to communicate with someone's family or loved ones or any spirit. I'm listening to that inner voice. So it all goes hand in hand together. It is just labeled different terms, but in my opinion, it all basically means the same thing.
I definitely want to dive into that, but first I wanna share it's on a very micro scale, but it was so interesting to me, and it was like it was a pretty harmless thing, it wasn't affecting anyone but me. But recently, actually, I was on a bus here in Mexico, and I have never been a person to, like, have crazy, like, intuition that I really can feel or, like, crazy dreams, like, I've never really been that person, and it was so interesting because I was on this bus, it was like a 5, 6-hour bus ride, fell asleep, and then I had a dream, and I've never thought about this, so I don't even know how I dreamt about it because 'cause I've never even thought about it, was I had a dream about on my laptop, I had, like, 4 files, most of my files are backed up in the cloud. But I had 4 files that weren't backed up, and they were important, and I was like, "If somebody steals my laptop, those 4 files are not backed up." They haven't been backed up in, like, 2 years. I've never had this thought. And then, lo and behold, get back to the hotel, and somebody had stolen my laptop. And I literally had a dream, like, hours before on the bus as I was sleeping about these files aren't backed up. If someone steals my laptop, then I need these 4 files. They're not in the cloud. And it was just so wild to me, and I know it's a very small scale, but I was like, "I've never had that thought, I've never had a similar dream, I've never dreamt anything about my laptop, and here I am on the bus dreaming about this."
Now let me ask you this, now how long ago was that?
How, like 2, 3 months ago?
Okay, because I was just trying to see if it was when we had scheduled this, and maybe, that I mean, it's been a while since we've been scheduled, but I don't think it's been that long, but I was just wondering if maybe it caused you to kinda, like, think about being a little bit more open, because I wouldn't call that a coincidence,
No.
that happened, and it was something that was trying to warn you. Was
It
it your own
100% was.
loved one? We don't know, but I do believe that it was not a coincidence for you to dream something, especially since you don't have dreams like that, and then for you to dream that, and then, I mean, bam, it just was the truth.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, and it was maybe probably like a month after you appeared in the email. You appeared a month later in the email, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I need to speak to her." But yeah, it's so funny, like, life just always has a way of working out, and I truly believe that everything happens for a reason. My mom used to say that, and I used to be like, "Oh my gosh, that's so stupid," but, like, I really do believe that everything happened for a reason, and the lesson that I got from that thus far is really to listen because I never had an experience, like, so close to home, and my laptop is like my baby. I'm on it hours and hours every single day, and then I was a week without a laptop, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, like, I really need to be more in tune with my thoughts and my feelings," and so I that is a big lesson that I got from that experience.
Yeah, and that's what life is when you think about it. It's a lesson, and, for us to learn, and not only for us to learn, but to share our gifts and what we learn to others, and that's what you get to do and I get to do on our podcast, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I need to ask you, you briefly touched a few minutes ago on entrepreneurship, and so I'm curious how being very intuitive and not even in terms of spirits, but just intuitive in terms of knowing yourself and knowing that there's so much more out there and also the power of our thoughts as well. I'm curious if you have any experience on that and how you have seen that play out in yours or others' entrepreneurial journey.
What I have found for my own is it's like when I committed to communicating with the spirits and to develop my gift, when I finally, got my mind right, my heart right, my spirit right to be in this world, it's like things started falling into place for me to do this. Like I said, I do professional readings, which as we know, that means, that I do get paid for doing reading. Am I Teresa Caputo? No. But it's like that for me to be able to do this like on a full-time basis is, it's like I'm being led to do this. Like the doors are opening, things are happening, that normally I don't think that would happen at all. And like I said, is it a coincidence for these things, to be happening? no, because 4 years ago when Kerry Roy said, "This is where that you're supposed to be," is coming to fruition. And you take, listen to that inner voice. Even Oprah, with her success and everything. And one of the things that sticks out to me is her saying, when in doubt, don't. And that is just, I guess, her thing that she goes by. And, she's like, oh no, this isn't going to work. I'm just going to push it and use my energy towards something that I feel like I can invest more in or will be more aligned with my goals. And so that's, like I said, that inner voice, that knowing that, you know, when you pick up on people of their true selves, are they here to scam me? Are they here to help me? Are they here to, whatever it may be, negative or positive? And you have that gift, and am I 100% right all the time? No, because you know why? I'm also human. And, I try to, to listen and to do, but, there's been times when maybe I should have zigged when I zagged and I don't know. But, I'm learning and, um, I really, there's so many opportunities, like doing, like I said, I hosted at the hotel. I'm going to be hosting an event at the Hard Rock Cafe, different events like that, that you normally wouldn't think that would be a part of this journey, but it's turning into it. And so I'm just so excited about that. And it can be anyone's journey. It's like once I think that number one, you have to make up your mind to what you want to do and to do what you love. And she also has told me 4 years ago, she also said, you're going to be paid one day to do what you love. And I didn't really understand it at the time, but I'm getting where I understand it now. And to me, that is such a great thing is, to enjoy what you do, because I mean, I don't know about you, but, if you've had to sit at a job or something that you're not very fond of from 9 to 5 or however long, 10, 12 hours a day, and you don't love it, it makes you miserable. It brings your spirit down. But if you get to do what you love, who said, I don't know who said it, Mark Twain, I don't know, Will Rogers, somebody said it about if you do what you love, then you never if you work at what you love, you never have to work a day in your life or something like that. And it's really true. And I think that, there's more people since the pandemic, working and working from, you know, for themselves and getting to do that. And I think that that has to do with listening, coming to the decision on what it is that I truly love and listening to that inner voice and making those decisions, which sometimes may be scary, but you do it anyway because, you got to believe in yourself. And then all the rest will follow.
I completely agree, and I think it says a lot hearing this coming from you, and so I really appreciate you sharing that, and I totally agree because I've seen it. It sounds like you have seen it in your life as well, where I've worked for somebody else, I've had other businesses, and it just, like, never really worked, and then you fall into something that you enjoy, you love, you have a passion for, but you're also open to working hard and turning that passion into a business. And then when it's right, it just completely falls into place. And I remember feeling like nothing else really worked out as well as this has for me. But I feel like I tried so much harder at the other things. And it really just like when it's meant to be, I mean, it sounds so cliche, but when it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And like if it's right, it will just fall into place. But I also feel like you have to be aware enough to A, realize that, but then B, to see that and to see like, oh, this is actually working. Like I need to double down on this because this is where I'm meant to be.
Right. Exactly. I just totally believe that. And now that, I'm taking those steps to do this and doors are opening that I never thought would open. And your mind frame your mindset has so much to do with everything. It controls a lot. So if you get in that right frame of mind and you listen, sometimes it's good just to be quiet and listen and write your thoughts down, write your goals down, whatever they may be. You might think it's crazy. Okay, well, I want to make $1 million this year, which would be nice. I got to write that down. But anyway, if you write, whatever it is and you write it down, then that is manifesting. You're believing it, you're putting it out in the universe. And so instead of maybe being negative about maybe the way, you feel about yourself or the way that you may look or whatever, turn it around, be positive, write, keep a journal of what that you want to uh, accomplish, and then go back and review it ever so often and see what areas that you need to maybe work a little bit more on, but also in a more positive light to see what areas that you have accomplished.
I love that. So to end off on that mindset note, is there anything else that you want to share or any experiences that you have had around that?
Like I said, just the open minded, being open minded is the first key to having more success in your life. To me, that's everything because you have to start. You just can't, you have an idea, which is fine. And we all have them. But it's what you do with it. It can sit up on the shelf of your mind for the next 20 years and collect dust, or even worse, someone has your idea and does something with it. And you're just sitting there like, oh, I thought of that, like 5 years ago. Well, the difference between you and them is that they actually did something with the idea. And so, you know, just just take time and realize that we're not the only ones in the world, just the people that you can physically see, but they're spirits and all they're wanting to do is communicate. Maybe they have something that can help you to be successful in this life. You just have to listen to your gut.
Okay, one last question on that note. Do we all have spirits, or in the past have we all had spirits around us and a lot of us just can't really sense that? Or is it really only certain individuals at certain times?
No, I believe we all do. I
Hmm.
believe they're around us. I'm blessed to be a part of the people that can, to see or to communicate or to hear them. But yes, we all have spirits around us. It's crowded, a lot more crowded than what you think, and it's not to scare anyone. Or like on TV, and you have the nun come out and mess everything up. I mean, it's not like that. Of course, there's bad spirits, but I want to guarantee that there's more good around you than what you think. And what does your family do? 90% of our families, they want to see you successful, right? They want you to feel love. They want what's best for you. So what does it hurt for you just to be a little bit open and maybe receive that energy of goodness and guidance and to help you on your way?
This has been such an interesting conversation. Thank you for sharing everything you shared. So, where can people find you and then also the events that you're holding?
You can find me. I'm on, we drop an episode on the YouTube channel. It's at, you can subscribe, go to at Quest 504, 504, Quest 504. And YouTube, I'm on Facebook. I know it's the older people's whatever, but it is what it is. At Misty Gaither, Masti Gaither. And I'm always doing something like events. November the 1st, I'm hosting an event at the Hard Rock Cafe here in New Orleans. And I'm doing that with Sound Baltristis. He is a direct descendant of the Lizzie Gordon family. So we're going to do some readings and seance. And so that will be definitely interesting. I'm going to be at some ghost hunts here in Louisiana, going to be in a Paracon in Alabama. So, just follow me and I'm always around somewhere.
You've just listened to the Work, Wealth, and Travel podcast. If anything from this episode resonated with you, I'd appreciate if you share this podcast on your socials. And of course, be sure to tag us at Work, Wealth, and Travel. And don't forget to leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Thank you for joining us on this global citizen journey, and we'll see you in the next episode.